So today's question, are you spending too much on your teens? Are you spoiling your children with money? Okay, so let's analyze. Are you being extremely generous or are you selfish when it comes to spending on your children? Hello and welcome back, my anxious parents. Valentina is here again, and today we are going to be talking about money. It's a bit of a sensitive topic, and if you are kind of a touchy when it comes to money, then maybe you shouldn't watch. Actually, on the other hand, you should watch and maybe take some points, some hints, and learn and face the reality when it comes to money and teens. So if you look at money like I do, for me it's a commodity, it's not a luxury. The same way I look at a car, it's a method of transportation. Of course, it's nice to have a Tesla, well, maybe not a Tesla, but the same car that's gonna take you from point A to B, it's gonna take you whether it's a luxurious car or it's a cheap car. So it all depends where you're trying to get, especially when it comes to your teens and money. So a little backstory about my love and hate relationship with money and why I am the way I am when it comes to allowances and spending money on your children. So to begin with, I come from a middle-class family. I cannot say that we struggled a lot when we were kids, but there were moments that my parents were stressing about our financial situation. In addition to that, we always had immediate family that we needed to take care of, which obviously put a strain on our financial state. Being Eastern European, we were raised to look after the elderly and support, grandparents on either side of the family. So our budget was always kind of divided, which is a good thing. This is how we were brought up and this is how we were educated, as opposed to a North American view that parents are usually going into a home. I wasn't raised like that, and I'm doing my best to educate my children the same way I was educated. On top of that, we were always giving money on condition, so it was always in exchange for something, which was considered a normal way of teaching young adults on how to appreciate money and not take it for granted. Immigration changed our financial status and the mentality about income, at least mine, because I was 18, 19, and I learned how to make my own money. Nothing is gonna change my parents' opinion when it comes to saving. I'm gonna definitely make a separate video about that. I keep saying that all the time. But anyways, we are being raised in a certain manner that we're trying to install the exact same views and the exact same approaches to our children. Just because there's a difference that they are born in Canada and they have a different type of education and they have a different society that they are growing in, society that looks at money much more easier than what we were taught in our time. As I'm raising my 4 children, I can see now the difference in spending on small children and in spending on older children. I can't say that I spend less on my toddlers and more on my teens. It's just they're different kind of spendings. It's just that your teens, they really don't care what you dress them in, and they don't care for any kind of brand names, and they don't care whether they have the fancy backpack when they go to school or less of a fancier backpack. With teens on the other side, it's a bit more touchy and a bit more challenging because they're being surrounded. Again, look at social media, look at how they are being influenced by so many teens that are probably making money at their age. So not everyone is kind of equal, and not everyone has equal approach to money. So my teens being raised in Canada and being enrolled in a school in a certain society here, it's kind of hard for me to install my views and the way I was raised. But I'm still doing my best. I'm educating myself. There's a couple of books that I'm gonna link down below that I really would recommend for you to read, and maybe even encourage your teens to read those books. One of the books is called The Opposite of Spoiled by Ron Lieber. I would truly recommend that book. It was an eye-opener for me. He is a personal finance columnist and a father, and he's talking about the fact that good parenting means talking about money with our children much more often than we do. When parents avoid these kind of conversations, they lose a tremendous opportunity not just to model important financial behaviors, but also to imprint lessons about what their family cares about most. You know, you need to kind of install those beliefs in your children early on. He covers the basics, basically, the best ways to handle the tooth fairy, allowances and chores and birthdays and cell phone bills and clothing, you know, even college tuition. The second book that I read that really did left an impression, it's called A Simple Guide to Finance and Money for Kids, Adults. It was written by Michael Williams. I'm gonna link it down below as well. So in this video, we're gonna go over a couple of things that I took from these books, and from my personal experience, maybe you can pick up some hacks and tricks about how I would manage and how I do manage money and my teens. So number one is give your teens an allowance. Whether you can afford a big allowance, it's not the question. The question is under what circumstances you are giving your teens money. Don't always make it a reason. There shouldn't always be a reason for you to just be generous with your teens. After all, you decided to have children and it is kind of your responsibility. A small allowance will teach them to budget what they have. It doesn't matter if it's a small amount. They can spend it whatever they can see fit. It gives them kind of a sense of responsibility and they feel like they're grown-ups. Try to resist tying all the money to chore-related tasks. Children shouldn't expect to assist with family tasks and not have an expectation of always being paid, you know, for helping around the house. It's not a job. It sends the wrong message, and you'll be surprised at the success of giving children an allowance and empowering them to use it responsibly. It's gonna give them an example of how to handle small amounts, so when they actually get a job, they know how to handle a larger amount. Number two, ask them to be involved in your weekly household goods shopping and in creating the monthly budgets. Take them shopping with you. They need to see the reality of how much it costs. The inflation has done crazy things, at least to us in Canada. So they need to be much more grounded when it comes to how much is the cost of living in a country they live in. High school students, regardless of their post-12 grade plans, should know about the cost of going to college and the consequences of debt. Even if parents plan to pay for their child's education, things can change. Parents can be out of work, parents can be out of money. You know, you have to always kind of know what I want to study and like how much it's gonna cost. So encourage your teens to do their research, to actually be with the feet on the ground, to know how much it's gonna cost them to do 5 years of education if they decide to go to university. Do not guilt your children when you're giving them money. After all, it was your decision to have them, as I mentioned before. So if you can afford to pay for their education, then do it, by all means. It's a very Eastern European approach, and I truly believe that if you can afford yourself to help your teens to kind of pay for their dream university or dream college, if they have aspirations, they have certain goals, then by all means, this is the best investment you're ever gonna do. Investing in your children can never go wrong. Let teenagers make monetary mistakes and show them how every action has a consequence. If the teen goes over the budget 1 month, they need to learn that in the next month, they will have to kind of cut back and maybe not do as many lunches with their friends and not buying something that they are really eager to. So teach them a lesson. Don't be too rough, but stand your ground and make sure that they understand that money don't grow on trees, obviously, and that everything that they buy needs to have kind of a validation behind it. Like, do you actually need it? You know, we all have that natural urge to buy things that we want or we like immediately, and teens are no different from us. And that's why it's crucial to practice delayed gratification with teenagers and resist buying things they want versus what they really need. So when it comes to my children, I do the following thing. I let them sleep on it. Going back to my parents' advice, I let them sleep on it for a day or two. And if they actually feel the need that, yes, I want that, I need that, then we will come to kind of middle grounds and we will buy and maybe cut from their next month allowance or kind of budget for it. But I never say a definite no. I always make sure that I listen to my teens and I make sure that I give it a good thought before I just say no. Take baby steps towards building a savings account for your children. Teach them how to save money, even if it's just 10% of their allowance. It's gonna go directly to their savings account. It's gonna teach them. It's a good habit to have. I was taught this habit by my parents to always kind of put a certain amount of money on the side. You never know what's gonna happen tomorrow. So make sure that you teach that habit to your children as well. They're gonna appreciate it later down the line, maybe not right away. Keep track of your expenses when it comes to your teens. They might forget, but don't rub it in their face of how much money you spend this month. But gently remind them in case they ask for you to get something for them and you feel like you already went over budget. I always make sure I keep track, I write it down, or I just keep a history of whatever transfers I made for them. And if my teen approaches me with a request, oh mom, I want this or I want that, and they don't remember what they bought already this month, I always just pull my black book, as they call it, and I go over my expenses and I tell them, listen, I have a certain budget for each family member. You kind of reached your budget, so it's gonna have to wait or find a part-time job. In conclusion, I would like to emphasize that you are still the primary caregiver when it comes to your children, and it is normal for you to incur these expenses. Do not feel guilty, or do not make them feel guilty about spending your hard-earned dollars. It's their job to kind of spend it, and it's your job at this point to earn it. Thank you for staying and for listening. Please do subscribe and leave a comment. Maybe you have a tactic, maybe you have certain rules when it comes to managing finances and your teens. I would love to hear new ideas and suggestions, and I will see you next time.